Hey, I had to take a break and a cup of tea. So I've spent the last three episodes talking about what it actually feels like for one to be the only African professional in the room. I've been naming the difficulties, right? I've been naming the embarrassments that come with having an accent, being hyper visible, expecting you to carry the load of over 1.5 billion Africans. But this evening, I want to be specific and I want to focus on the positive experiences, at least. So, at least, yeah. I want to spend time here because it's equally true, right? And equally important that there are positive aspects of being the only African in the room. Although the negative sides may outweigh these sides that I'm going to mention, but they are important. And I feel in continuing with these conversations, they are something that we should talk about. Now, I think it will be dishonest and not helpful to like build an entire series or an entire mini series like the last three episodes around the difficulties without honoring the specific moments that should be encouraging us. So the colleague who engages with your work as work, right, is very important. I have had colleagues who are genuinely curious people. I'm talking about non-African colleagues now, who intellectually they are good and they are serious. They are curious people who engaged with my research with exactly the enthusiasm, right, expected of a good researcher. I've had people, non-Africans, in the same maybe research space or the same school, who have asked me hard questions about my research. Not because they were trying to interrogate me, right? But it's an intellectual engagement. I've had contributions built on conversations rather, than redirecting them into another conversations. Those colleagues exist. Those senior colleagues, those supervisors or managers exist. Now, most of these people actually understand when you're going through low moments. And these people are worth identifying. If you have, even if it's one of these colleagues, one of these kind of managers in your workplace, friends, invest in a relationship with them. Genuinely appreciate them, because these are people that chose to know you and value you for what you are, who you are, what you bring, your professional expertise, your hard work. They know you, they see you, they appreciate you. So why won't you give it back? This is not the time to generalize and say, yeah, white people see me this way because of my accent. Therefore, every white person is mean. No, they actually white people or people of other races and ethnicities that appreciate what we bring as African professionals. Either the supervisor who sees the whole person. Now, I've experienced this. I know a lot of people will say, okay, they don't have good supervisors, but I've experienced this. Someone that sees not just your research, but the full context of what you are going through. Someone that appreciates all that you carry as a person. Someone that understands that you are doing a PhD in a second or even third cultural environment. Sometimes separated from your main support network, from your family, from people you grew up with. Sometimes you're carrying the financial pressures specific to your situation as a parent or as a daughter or as a sibling, factors that put into context how they support you. That supervisory relationship, when it exists, that is when it's there. We know majority of situations where such supervisory relationship is absent, but where it is present, it is one of the most powerful protective factors in the entire academic journey. And I'm sure the same applies to the corporate world. That moment where your work speaks for itself. There are moments that, say, in a presentation that has been done clearly, or in an email or a writing that gets recognized, say in a seminar contribution or a conference room, where none of the other dynamics, like your color or accents, are operating, where it is your work itself that is speaking undeniably for itself. There are moments like that. And these are positive moments that we should appreciate, positive moments that we should call out. When you are simply a researcher, right, doing good work, and you are seen for it, those moments matter. And I think it's those kind of moments that should supersede, the other negative factors that we've discussed in earlier videos. It's not because you are erasing the other negative moments, but because they remind you what you're actually there for. You see, these moments that recognize your prowess, that recognize your hard work, that recognize what you're bringing into the table, those are the moments that will support you when the self-doubt creeps in. So hold on to them. So how do you carry these experiences, these layers I discussed in the last episodes, the layers of hypervisibility, the accent dynamics, the representative weight, the being overlooked professionally and in your expertise, the ongoing uncertainty. How do you carry all these experiences without being defined by them? I want to offer you a few suggestions. If you have any other suggestion after I mention this, you can put them in the comment section. It will help me and also help others. Now, this suggestion I'm giving are things that I did for myself, things that have been working for me and are still working for me. Right? Now, when I say they are still working for me, it's not because they resolved the experience. It's not because they solved it and then I'm not experiencing those behaviors from people again, right? It's because they help me navigate it and come out successfully. So what are these things? First, build your internal muscle, before you need it. Build your internal anchor before you need it. Know where you are specifically and clearly. Understand who you are before you enter spaces that will be ambitious about where you are or who you are. Know it. For instance, if your research or your research area is about artificial intelligence is the in thing right now in research, and you're going to enter a seminar or a conference about artificial intelligence in healthcare or in an aspect of healthcare, for instance, at least even if you don't understand artificial intelligence, because it's a growing topic, understand that area of healthcare that you want to apply artificial intelligence. So you know who you are. You get. Be proud of where you're from. I'm even going too far. Know what your training gave you. If your background, your first, say, undergraduate is in chemistry, for instance, understand it. It's not a time to forget. I know a lot of us will say, I'm doing a PhD now, I've forgotten a lot about whatever I learned in undergraduate. This is not a time to forget. This is a time to put yourself into that space of being a student, yet being a knowledge provider. Know what your professional experience means. Know who you are professionally. Know what your expertise expects of you. Know the specific contribution you are there to make. Don't just go there as an empty vacuum. For lack of better words. Yes, we're all going to those seminars, those workshops and those conferences and meeting those people to learn from them. However, we had a background. We're also there to make a contribution. Know what you can give. Know what you need to know before you enter specific rooms. Sometimes write it down if you need to. Sometimes write down your professional background clearly, maybe just in few words if you need to. Giving yourself that confidence, that internal clarity is a thing that will hold it when the room is giving you mixed signals about your values, when the room is designed to doubt what you can bring to the table. Secondly, find your people inside, outside, everywhere in the space. Find your people inside and outside the space. I have talked a lot on my channel about finding your community when you first move into a country. Talking about finding your community in that industry, finding your community in that research area, inside your department. Identify your colleagues who see you clearly and invest in those relationships, those supervisors or those managers or, those people that see you for you. For instance, I'm going to give a rather sad example right now, but it's happening to me. There is this very senior academic in my faculty, although he's not really directly connected to my work and he's not in my committee of any kind, but seeing him, and he's not white. You get, so that's why I keep saying sometimes we're expecting that, okay, only white people will do some of these things because of ignorance or something. But no, sometimes the majority of discrimination we get are from brown people, are from colored people. And this brown guy, probably because, now let me not go into details, but anytime I say hi to him, he doesn't say hi. He avoids me like a plague. And I'm like, what did I do? Now, because of his behavior towards me, at a point, anytime I see him, I'll start giving him space. But at a point, I was like, what the F word? It's not, I don't know you. You probably know me from the generalizations you make about Africa or Africans. So that's not my business. Now, that kind of person I know is not my person. Even if she starts to answer my greeting tomorrow or anything joins both of us tomorrow, this person is not my person. I won't call this person my person. Do you get? I'm not going to invest in any relationships with this person. Whether inside your department or inside your faculty or outside, building a relationship and maintaining connections with people who value your work or who value you for who you are, very important. Most important is maintaining connections with other African professionals who are navigating similar spaces. You don't have to be really close friends, but you all know that you're going through, the same struggles. Having the ability to debrief an experience, share with someone who would immediately understand the specific texture, without needing for you to explain it too much, having that community, having that space is one of the most restorative things that can be available to you. So build your community, find your community, Africans or non-Africans, people that value you and genuinely and don't underestimate it. Thirdly, distinguish between what you need to adapt to and what you need to protect. Now, this is not me talking down on anyone or saying people's experiences are not important. But you see, some of us, English is our second language. No matter how our countries were colonized by Britain or by America, depends on where you're coming from. You see, English is our second language. So true. Sometimes when you speak, people do not understand you. Either because you speak in a hurry or your pronunciation is far different from what they know. I'm in New Zealand. Do you know that there are New Zealanders that do not understand the American accent? Meanwhile, back at home, we used to dream or we used to try to speak like the Americans. There are New Zealanders who do not understand people from the UK or even people from nearby Australia. Sometimes people from all these other places do not understand native English speakers of New Zealand. So you see, it's not just about you. Some of what being in a Western academic or professional space asks of you is reasonable adaptation, being able to learn to communicate disagreement directly, for instance, because we know how to be diplomatic. In Africa, we know how to, beat around the bush before we gently drop the message. But here, it's speaking directly, even though you speak with respect. Another way is learning how to make your intellectual contributions visible. Stop hiding yourself. Again, African professionals, one of the main reasons why Roda 360 platform is up and running is because I want us to stop hiding what we are made of. Stop hiding our intellectual contributions. Let's make ourselves visible. The reason why many people are even scared of Africans in any room today is because the news of people like Hush Puppy who went into criminal activities, the news went viral. You get, so many people think, for instance, Nigerians, and many people think many Nigerians are actually criminals, which is not true. Which is not true. If you and I begin to show up with our intellectual contributions, do you get, with a specific register of academic and intellectual writings and artworks and, our intellectual contributions, it will begin to change the narrative. Because if you don't tell your story, if you don't put it out there for people to see, how would they know what you do? How would they know what you're capable of? And there are so many lessons, communications especially, and other professional skills that are worth developing if you are moving abroad or if you're already in diaspora. Sometimes it's about adapting, being able to adapt to their culture. Sometimes it's about reducing your expectation of people accepting me just the way I am. It's good that people should accept you just the way you are, but sometimes it's also good that you're able to, adjust yourself and adapt into the dynamics that will create a balance between you and the people you're going to work with. Because some of what it might ask you will be something different from what you know. One of the main things it will do to you is that your voice will now be quieted. You will now begin to minimize your origin. There are many of you today, or many African professionals today, that would prefer to call themselves African Americans or Black Americans. You see, they are already minimizing their origin. Then there is this performance of cultural assimilation that goes beyond professional adaptation and into something like erasure. So you don't want to be known to be associated with Africa anymore, but you need to know the difference between when this is happening and when you should actually stay true to what you are. Adapt freely where adaptation serves you. Protect yourself, especially your mental health, fiercely. Whatever is yours to protect, your intellectual capacity, your origin, what you know, protect it. Last, before I leave, let the difficulty be data. Let the difficulty be only data to you. Let the difficulty, every experience you have, let it be an experience. Let it not be your destiny. It's not every time that village people will come for you. Sometimes it's in the numbers. Okay, yeah, I've had this experience. Number 1, I've had that experience. Number 20, let it all go. Let it be in the past. It's not your destiny. When you have an experience that sits in that uncomfortable space, let it be an information rather than the verdict. Even if it comes to questioning your professional prowess, your professional or your academic or your mental muscle, notice it. Yes. Name it to yourself. Call it. Put a name to it. Talk about it with someone you trust. But then resist that impulse or, that urge to make it a pattern of difficult moments because you're an African and because you belong. Like I said in the previous video, that you are in that room, that you are that student, that you are in that role, in that staff meeting that day, is because you are qualified enough to be there. It's because you belong there. These spaces need to catch up with what you are and what you bring. They need to catch up with that fact that you can be African can be the only one in the room and can still be an expert and deliver proficiently. Your job is not to make yourself smaller while these people do. No. It's not you to help people make you smaller. In fact, I used to say, especially when a relationship is not giving me money, if say it's not a career relationship or work relationship, anywhere I find myself, that I find people trying to make me smaller, I leave. And I'm not going to give anybody the right to make me feel smaller. I want to ask you 2 questions today before I go. And I mean this genuinely. If you're an African professional or you're an African and you have been in these spaces that I've mentioned in the past 4 videos, what moment named something that you didn't have a language for before? You get? Tell me in the comment section. When you name it, you begin to find solutions to it. Naturally it comes. They say what? A problem shared is a problem half solved. Sometimes it is solved when you share it, because when you name it, you begin to find the solution for it. For you, for everyone else watching who has felt the same thing, without being able to say it, this episode is for you. This series is for you. This channel is for you. And if you are not an African, say you are a colleague, you are a supervisor, you are a peer, you are a friend who stayed with this last 4 mini-series that I've shared, what would you do differently? What will you do to that your African professional who is alone in that room differently? Not performatively, not because, it's not to perform. Not with a diversity training checklist, right? Just what would you begin to pay attention to that you weren't paying attention to before? That question is where change actually begins. Because it's not about listening to me and no, it's not in the policy. It's in the moment. It's in the room. So share this episode with someone who needs to feel seen in their environment, so that they can also know that their experience is not a lonely journey. They're not alone in this journey. And also with someone who needs to understand an experience that is not theirs, like non-African colleagues, because both shares matter, right? So subscribe again, help support this platform. Subscribe, like, share, because next episode in this African Professional Abroad series will be moving to AI and the future of academic research, and probably how it affects African professionals. And this is what every PhD student needs to know right now, and why I am possibly one of the most specifically positioned people to talk about it. So my name is Rhoda, if I've not mentioned before, and this is Rhoda 360. 360 degrees of inspiration, insight, and impact is the full 360. Take care of yourselves and each other. See ya. Bye.